What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising you through topics every single week and jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC, and we got a little fun episode today. There's not much to talk about in the world of the UFC, but we have found some new stuff. We have had a plethora of new fights. We have actually had 16 new fights be announced. Actually, I think it's 12. 12 new fights be announced that we're going to briefly go over here, and I'm going to give my thoughts on and just let you know which are coming out. We're also going to be going through and looking at the current lineup of pay-per-views for the coming year. We have 3 pay-per-views lined up, and I'm also going to try and work to predict what some of the other pay-per-views we're going to be getting are going to be. As well, I'm going to be discussing the current games that have taken place in the NFL Wild Card and what divisional matchups are locked in. We actually have a game currently going on, Steelers and Texans, as we record this, so I'll actually give you the live score update before we actually find out what happens. But ladies and gentlemen, it's a brand new week, a lot's going on in my life. I feel a bit stuck. I really want to do big things with the podcast and social media, but just working all day at a, kind of a brain dead first job, it really gets to you. It really does, and especially when you get home and you want to be productive and you end up sitting on the couch, you end up eating food you don't want to, you end up getting stuck on your phone and doing things you just don't want to be doing. But luckily we're here on the podcast. We commit to it every week. We've actually stayed very consistent with an episode every single week of the year. So bravo to us for that, but let's dive right on into the episode with some new UFC fights. It's been a minute since we opened an episode with some new UFC fights. And kicking us off, absolute fun one, UFC Seattle going down March 28th. Marcin Tybura, the number 10 ranked UFC heavyweight, will take on the number 14th ranked Walter Walker. Yeah, they're giving Walter Walker the rise to the top. And I mean, that'll happen when you submit your last 4 opponents all by round 1 ankle picks. Just amazing. Really amazing. As for Marcin Tybura, kind of been rough. He, of course, was knocked out by Ante Delege last time he fought. I mean, he really hasn't done much, as of late. I mean, he's been submitted by Sergey Spivak as well. He picked up a win over, I can't even remember, the unranked heavyweights. No, he's probably still ranked. It's the guy from Great Britain who I thought was going to have a big rise this year. Let me see if he's still ranked real quick. That is right. Number 13th ranked Mick Parkin. He picked up a win over Mick Parkin, but that wasn't the most impressive. Absolutely love this. Got to be on the main card. And as for Walter Walker, this is where you truly propel yourself to stardom. He hasn't really beaten a ranked opponent yet. All his opponents have been kind of unranked, but March 28th, golden opportunity for him to pick another ankle of Marcin Tybura, which I really like, and get it done. Now, he's got to be careful because Marcin Tybura has some excellent ground and pound. This is a fun fight for UFC Seattle. Next up, UFC Seattle has a matchup between Nicole Cagliari and Carol Foro. Carol Foro making her UFC debut. She is 28 years old. She turns 29 actually a week before this fight takes place. She holds a win over her former UFC fighter Chanel Dyer. Other than that, nothing too much of notoriety. She's from Brazil. Nicole Cagliari has unfortunately gone 0-2 in the UFC, also from Brazil. Doesn't really have a notable win. My money would probably be on Carol Foyo since she's the newbie, and we always like to pick the newbies that usually fight. Going down April 4th, this is the farthest out I believe we have a event. UFC Vegas 115. That's right, they're going to the Apex for another time in 2026. This will be the 3rd Apex event of the year already. It's only April 4th. Haley Cohen, who is 0-2 in the UFC, will take on the 0-1 Elise Pereira. Elise Pereira was born in December of 2005. That is right. She literally just turned 20 about 3 weeks ago. So absolutely crazy. She's going to be 20 years old, having her second UFC fight. Really like the opportunity against Haley. All hail Cowan. I mean, she trains Extreme Couture, same gym as Sean Strickland and Chris Curtis, but I just don't really see it. I don't see her getting past it, having success, so I will not be predicting her to win. So we're going to go with Elise Pereira to win this one. This is a fun fight, though, and I will say Elise Pereira, the one hole in her game plan is grappling. So if you're Haley Cohen, you got to expose that. Moving on to the same card of UFC Vegas 115 flyweight action, as Alessandro Costa will be taking on Stuart Nicole. Stuart Nicole, tragically 0-2 in the UFC. You know, he's 32 years old, from Australia. Yeah, he hasn't done much. got to get a win here. And as for Alessandro Costa, just fought some tough guys, Amir Albazi, Kevin Boras, Jimmy Flick. Like, this guy is always kind of in a dogfight, and I'm probably going to ride with him as far as this contest goes. I really thought he was going to do better after going to round 3 with Amir Albazi, but he really hasn't done much. So we'll see if he can bounce back, pick up a win here, 2-3. This is probably a make-or-break fight for both of these gentlemen. Picking us up March 21st at UFC London, we actually have a couple Europeans going at it. Mason Jones from Wales, the 17-2 lightweight, will take his little winning streak against Axel Solo. What a good matchmaking we got here. Mason Jones picked up one of the greatest comebacks I've seen against Bellagio Key. Truly phenomenal. As for Alex Sola, successful debut against Rise McKee. This is such good matchmaking. But I'm going to be honest, Axel Sola had a good debut, still did see some holes. But as for Mason Jones, this will truly be a test of what his skill level is. Axel Sola is a former Aries FC champion. And as for Mason Jones, we're talking about Cage Warriors double champion. We're talking about a guy who's had a performance of the night and fight of the nights in the UFC. This is such a perfect fight to give the London English crowd. Absolutely love the matchmaking. And as of right now, I'm probably going with Mason Jones. Going back to UFC Seattle, the final event in March, Mansour Dumalik, the 9-0 middleweight, is back in action as he takes on Yusri Belgori. Yusri Belgori picking up a nice little win in the UFC over Azamat Bekov. I was sleeping on him. I'll say that for starters. And as far as this goes, you got a lanky guy in Yusri Belgori against a very heavy hitter power puncher in Mansour Dumalik. And, don't judge him by the weird Cody Brundage fight. Judge him by the Anatoly Tricoli, Dusko Todorovic, and Nick Klein fight. All right, he had a weird moment against Cody Brundage. Obviously it was a weird fight overall, but he accidentally headbutted him. The fight was then ruled a no contest. Very odd. Actually, it might have been ruled a draw even. It was very weird circumstances. So I'm probably riding with Mansour Dumalik, but do not sleep on Yusri Belgori. This guy has fought Alex Baron in kickboxing. That's right, and he's back in the UFC. Next up, we have some top 5 women's action. I guess top 8. I should better say. UFC Vegas 115 has a matchup between former title challenger Virna Jandiroba, number 3 ranked women's strawweight, and the number 8 ranked Tabitha Ricci. I would absolutely love for Tabitha Ricci to win. I don't think she's going to win, honestly. Virna Jandiroba, if you're not a Mackenzie Dern who can stop the grappling, you're just not going to beat her. She's probably just going to take down Tabitha Ricci over 3 rounds. But I'll be rooting for Tabitha. Picked up a big knockout of Amanda Hebus, which I absolutely adored. Should be an interesting fight. I think, if anything, people will be rooting for Tabitha Ricci. But if you're going with money, Virna Jandiroba, I like is a good bet. Coming up to a week earlier, UFC Vegas 114, going down March 14th. I wonder if they planned that. As Vitor Petrino makes his, 3rd fight at heavyweight. I think it's his 3rd heavyweight fight. I believe he's beaten Thomas Pearson, which was a fantastic knockout, and Austin Lane. He'll be taking on Kennedy Nchukwu. Kennedy, unfortunately, fell victim to the man, the myth, the legend, the man we had talked about earlier, Walter Walker, and his heel hook. But we got to give Kenny Nchukwu credit. Did you know he holds a win over Carlos Ulberg? He was the last man to defeat Carlos Ulberg, the number 1 ranked light heavyweight on the planet. He also holds wins over Chris Barnett and Ian Kudalaba. I'm very curious to see how this goes. I'm probably going to go with Vitor Petrino, but Kenny Nchukwu is kind of sneaky with it. Kind of sneaky with his straight punch. It really does land big, but something tells me Vitor Petrino is going to shoot a takedown, go for a submission, go for some ground and pound. It was kind of what he did with Austin Lane, and I think he'll do it again here. Going to be in the Apex, though, so literally no one will be cheering. Next up, the fight we have announced February 28th, UFC Mexico in Mexico City, Mexico. Daniel Zellhuber back in action as he takes on King Green. Bobby King Green, who is 14-12-1 with a no contest in the UFC. On September this year, he'll turn 40, but he's still killing it. Funny enough, his last win hasn't been since, I think it wasn't Jim Miller. He beat some rando to end the year. I honestly can't remember. It might have been from Cage Warriors or Bellator. But taking on Daniel Golden Boy Zellhuber, dude, Daniel's had so much potential, and he just loses. Like, losing to Michael Johnson was just such a humbling fight for him, but he's still 26 years old, turns 27 in July. I still see the potential. He's 15-3. It's crazy to think he came into the UFC undefeated. All right, I do like Daniel Zellhuber here, but King Green is obviously one of the greatest gatekeepers we've ever seen. He's still getting it done, and he's going to be fighting into his 40s. So keep your eyes on this one, but I'm going to go with Daniel Zellhuber in front of his hometown crowd of Mexico. UFC Seattle has a fun fight as Zhu the Hypnotist Kangji makes his UFC debut. The 21-4 man from China back at it, won the road to the UFC. They'll be taking on the debuting Marcio Barbosa. He's 16-2 and looks pretty good. This is just great matchmaking. Some really good unranked featherweights from Brazil and from China, which I absolutely love. It's just, featherweight's just not a weight class you see two randos making their debut in. So I really love this going down in Seattle. I don't know the connection at all, but we'll learn more as we get closer to fight week. As of right now, I like the look of Zhu Kangji, and I also like his nickname, the Hypnotist. Speaking of UFC Vegas's 114 on March 14th, Omar Sy back again to take on Ion Cutelaba. Fun fight. Really is. Omar Sy suffered his first defeat against Alonzo Metafield this past year, but he was able to bounce back with a win over Brenson Ribeiro. Exactly what he should have done. Good job to Omar Sy. Still a young gun, only 30 years of age. And as for Ion Cutelaba, this man, oddly enough, is only 32 years old. Wow. I'm very taken aback by that. He's been fighting in the UFC a long time and actually holds a negative record of 8-10-1. Wow, didn't even realize that. What if I would have told you that he debuted in the UFC, I kid you not, number of years ago with a 11-0 record. That is right. And look where he's ended up now. Not too good. So I'm rocking with Omar Sy in this one. Ion Cutelaba, he always had so much potential and for just some reason could never put it together. I don't know what it was, but not picking him in this matchup. And as for the final matchup, we have official and announced. This one I'm pumped for. Iwo Baranowski is back. This kid's crazy. Rudy is his nickname. Iwo Baranowski from Poland. He knocked out Muhammad Ali in 20 seconds on the Contender Series. And of course, his fight with Abel Aslan is the most entertaining minute and 20-second fight you'll ever watch. Did it win comeback of the year for me? It might have. It's the best one-round fight of the entire year. Let me just tell you that. Super entertaining, and they're trying to give him another layup as Austin Lane comes back down to light heavyweight with a 1-4 record. I don't really know why he's still in the UFC, but it looks to me like they just like feeding him to young and up-and-coming talent, which is unfortunate for him, but good for us fans. Really is. Ivo Baranowski is 27 years old, I believe. And as for Austin Lane, he will turn 39 this year. So Ivo's on the way up. Austin Lane is on the way out. But you always got to be careful with these matchups. You really do. There's always an opportunity to gatekeep. And if I am Austin Lane, I'm trying to gatekeep all day. And I know I've brought this up every time we bring up Austin Lane, but his cousin actually trained at the same gym as my mom. They did a kickboxing gym back when their gym was still around. I think it was called Farrell's, but now it's long gone, and so are all the new fights. But I absolutely love that we just keep getting new fights banged out over and over and over again. It makes it super exciting. I'll tell you something else that's been super exciting. All but one game of the wild card has delivered, and as I say this, we actually have a 7-3 game in the wild card. Texans are up 7-3 heading towards halftime. Looking like the Steelers might try and make it 7-6 unless they go for it. Christian Kirk has scored the only touchdown for the Texans, and it looks like the Steelers just haven't done much. DK Metcalf has been getting the most targets. But we're not talking about what is about to happen. We're talking about what has been. And 5 of our 6 games have gone down, and we are 5-0 on predictions. So we kick things off on Saturday, Rams and Panthers. And I think everyone just kind of had that feeling like even though the Panthers didn't belong here, they were still going to put on a show. And to put on a show, they did. 34-31. They almost beat the Los Angeles Rams. So close. So close. It's crazy to think the Panthers made the playoffs and they will end the year with an 8-10 record. -2 record on the year, and they made the playoffs. Rams are now 13-5 on the year thanks to Matt Stafford's 304 yards, 3 touchdowns, and only 1 interception game. Puka Nacua was the absolute MVP of this, hands down. 10 catches, 111 yards, and a touchdown. Can't beat it. And I'll tell you who the MVPs were for the Panthers, all right? 3 people. First up, gotta shout out Bryce Young. Really got to shout out Bryce Young. 264 yards, a touchdown, a pick, running when it mattered, truly proving he's a number 1 pick when he can play like it. Number 2, Chuba Hubbard, 13 carries, 46 yards, 2 touchdowns. And after this game, I'm pretty sure Rico Dowdle's leaving. Rico Dowdle's trying to go to another team where he could actually be RB1. Another shout out to the guy who has quickly climbed up the ranks of being right behind Tet McMillan as the number 2 wide receiver on the team, Jalen Coker. 9 catches, 134 yards, and a touchdown. And let me just tell you, it was 17-14 heading into halftime. Was looking like a Rams blowout, 7-0 heading to the second, but 2 touchdowns from the Panthers made it good. We get to the third quarter, and it was boring, a field goal apiece, but then a total of 4 touchdowns, 2 for each team in the second half, including a little game winner from the Rams with under a minute left, and Panthers just couldn't get down the field quick enough, tragically, and man, just exciting. It was actually 38 seconds left, just so you're aware, but a 19-yarder to Colby Parkinson sealed the deal. Just fun. Just a lot of fun. Rams team looking, they put it together. They put it together. They beat the Panthers, a team that actually beaten them earlier in the year. But I have no idea how they're going to perform when they come from the warm shores of the Carolinas to the cold north of Chicago. That is right. The city I live and work in now is host to the Rams as the Bears beat the Packers in hands down one of the best NFL games I've ever watched. So fun, so entertaining. My environment made the day. Bears win 31-27 with a touchdown with 1:43 seconds left, and the defense stands tall to win the game. Let me just tell you how this started off. Field goal from the Bears after I want to say 15-play drive for only a field goal. Pretty humiliating. The Packers then score 3 touchdowns to end the first half, 21-3, heading into the third quarter. So they're down 21-3. They then go down 21-6 entering the fourth quarter. They then go down 21-9 with only 10 minutes left. But with 10 minutes left, DeAndre Swift punches in a touchdown to put them only back 5. Jordan Love would answer in 4 minutes with a touchdown to Matthew Golden. That is right, going up 11 points. So with 6.5 minutes left, they were down 11 points. How do they answer? A 2-minute drive capped off with a 2-point conversion to make it a 3-score game. They then get the ball back, and they freaking take the lead. Bears players, Bears fans, stand up. Caleb Williams, 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, amazing work. And shout out to the MVP of the Bears, Colston Loveland. Dude, what a great game from the rookie tight end. Truly was amazing, but really got to give props to Jordan Love. 323 yards, 4 touchdowns, and this Packers team is about to go through a big change. 9-8-1 as their season ends, and, I know Jordan Love will still be around. I'm pretty sure Matt LaFleur is going to be on the go. I think Matt LaFleur will be on the go. They're going to probably switch up the wide receiver core. Something's got to change in Green Bay. Very unfortunate loss and a brutal collapse from them, really was, but I more so think it's how good the Chicago Bears team is. 12-6, winning the game over every single Packers and Bears game was better than the last. The first movie, oh my gosh, a classic. The second one, even better. And the third, the cherry on top. I would compare it to the Planet of the Apes trilogy, with Caesar, I guess, being Caleb Williams, the leader of his team. Before any of you call me racist, no, I'm not comparing Caleb Williams to an ape. I'm making a comparison to my favorite movie trilogy and my favorite fictional character of all time, Caesar, the leader of the Planet of the Apes. But amazing work from this Bears team. So excited to see what they do when they take on the Rams. Of course, since I'm perfect on predictions, and if you watched the last episode, you know I made my predictions for the whole playoffs, that I already have my divisional matchups picked out, but we're still going to preview them on the next episode later in the week. So Bears, Rams, exciting stuff, and Saturday was host to some 10 out of 10 NFL games. With that, we got into Sunday, kicking it off, Bills and Jags, and like I said, we started off 3 for 3 on NFL games. This was amazing. Bills go into the half 10-7. All right, it's back and forth. We enter the third, 2 field goals apiece. The fourth quarter, just like the Rams game, just like the Bears game, 2 touchdowns each. This was so exciting. Josh Allen, 273 yards and a touchdown. Trevor Lawrence threw for 3 touchdowns, but also threw for 2 picks, including losing the game by throwing a pick. Kind of unfortunate. Khalil Shakir had 12 catches for 82 yards, and Parker Washington, 7 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown. But got to give it to Josh Allen. Down by, I want to say it was 3. They go up by, they were down by 4. They were down, I believe, 24-20, and with a minute left, they punch it in on the 1-yard line. And the Bills will move on to the next round. 13-5, and yeah, they're going to be having a date with the number 1 seeded Broncos. As for the Jags, 13-5 record, there is nothing to hang your head about. Really isn't. You lost to Josh Allen, a playoff menace, and you guys had a good year. So do not hang your head low, Jags fans. The future looks bright, and hopefully you just don't run to Josh Allen another year. But I absolutely love the matchup, Josh Allen versus the Broncos. Cannot wait to cover that. But as far as this game goes, I mean, I was on the go. I was actually trying to go to the mall to go to American Eagle at a gift card, and for some freaking reason, the mall was closed, or specifically not even the mall, American Eagle was closed on the one Sunday I went, so I didn't even get to watch the whole game, but I was able to catch the final drive, and literally I put it up on TikTok, and I watched Josh Allen punch it in. I'm like, nice, all right, let's watch a Trevor Lawrence game-winning drive, and he throws a pick right away. So a bit anticlimactic, but still nonetheless exciting. Broncos to the divisional round. Next up, 49ers and Eagles at 3:30. And let me just say, what an ending to this game for the 49ers. 23 total points. They score 13 of them in the fourth quarter and come back. That is right. They come back from being down 16-10 pretty much the entire game. Brock Purdy has a sloppy game. 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks, but he gets it done. Christian McCaffrey, I don't know what's happened to him the last 2 weeks, but he's just not looked like himself. Only 48 yards. And I'll tell you, the real MVP was Demarcus Robinson, 6 catches, 111 yards, and 1 touchdown. When your man, the myth, the legend, George Kittle goes down, broken leg, torn Achilles, I don't know what it is. He's out for the year, presumably. Someone had to step up. And none other, it was Demarcus Robinson. Do want to give a shout out to Dallas Goedert. My man had such a good game for the Eagles. He truly played so well, and I don't know what was going on with A.J. Brown. He was not doing good. Devontae Smith was doing the best he could. 8 catches, 70 yards, but he was locked up. Longest catch was only 15 yards. But Dallas Goedert, 4 catches for 33 yards and ran in a touchdown. Truly doing it all. Saquon rushes for 106 yards, but Jalen Hurts just couldn't pull it together. And the 49ers rally when it means the most. In that final drive, it was just, I could tell they were tunnel vision. They were in tunnel vision, and they're punching it in, and with 3 minutes left, they're able to throw in a little touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey, so he kind of redeemed himself. Then on the final drive, couldn't just get anything together, and the Eagles go down 11-7, and we will have a new Super Bowl champion this year. As for the 49ers, 13-5, I am so excited to see them have a number 1 seeded matchup with the Seahawks. If there's any team that's going to beat the Seahawks, my money, probably on the 49ers. With that, we got into our Sunday Night Football, and it was the most boring game. And that's because the Patriots, who are such a dominant team, beat the Chargers, who were not that bad of a 7th seed. But I'll tell you what, the Chargers defense played so good. They picked off Drake May. They did not really let Ramondre or Trayvon Henderson get going, holding them both to under or just at 50 yards. But, I mean, the offense just couldn't do anything. They really couldn't. Herbert, 159 yards, that's it. Rush for 57. Kamani Vidal rushes for 31. Amari Hampton had 1 rush the whole game. Ladd McConkey, 3 catches, 32 yards, and Aronde Gadsden, 3 catches, 30 yards. The only people doing anything. I mean, just not a good performance from the Chargers whatsoever. I mean, it was embarrassing. It really was. And to make matters worse, the game starts off 3-3, and then they just don't score. We don't even get our first touchdown until the 9-minute mark of the fourth quarter, where Drake May has a little touchdown pass to, of course, Hunter Henry. Absolutely love him. But yeah, just complete shutout from the Patriots, looking like the number 2 team they are, and they'll have a date with whoever wins tonight's game between the Steelers and the Texans. But yeah, kind of a disappointing end to the season for the Chargers. They'll definitely have to work on some stuff. Certainly, defensive-wise, they were pretty good, but offensively just wasn't clicking, and we've seen good offensive explosions from them, so I can't really put my finger on where the issue was, but nonetheless, down with the Chargers. Patriots go on. And as of right now, it's 7-6, and I've been recording this for almost 30 minutes, and when I came on, there was literally a minute left, so I do not know what's been going on in the game, but 7-6 for the Texans, and it looks like Texans might be pushing forward. Any stars so far? Ooh, Woody Marks, 59 rushing yards in the first half. Christian Kirk has 4 catches for 51 yards. Nico Collins, 3 catches, 21 yards. As for the Steelers, kind of getting locked up. DK with 42 yards. Kenneth Gainwell with 21 yards receiving. Oh, my boy Adam Thielen has a catch, so all is good and right in the world. But there's your little recap of the wild card. Close game so far on the side between the Steelers and the Texans. So exciting stuff. But yeah, we don't really have much to talk about when it comes to the UFC, ladies and gentlemen. But nonetheless, we still got some stuff to talk about. So we're going to do a little preview of our current first 3 pay-per-views lined up for the year. Through the first 3 months, we have 3 pay-per-views. For some reason, they elected to do 2 to open the year in January. It must be to really hook the fans on Paramount Plus, which I found out will be $90 for the year. I'm already paying a lot of stuff. I mean, it's hard to be a big adult boy in the, a big adult world. But 324 is on the 24th, 325 is on the 31st. We then have to wait till March 7th for 326. But kicking us off in Las Vegas, we have a super fun card. So I'm just going to go off of what UFC Stats says for all the confirmed fights. Looking through, we kick off the card welterweight division. Adam Fugit is back again. The man who's gone loss, win, loss, win, loss throughout his UFC career. But I do want to preface, Adam Fugit has had to fight Michael Morales, Mike Mallet, and Islam Dulatov. Just unfair. He'll be taking on the debuting Ty Miller, who picked up a pretty good win over Jimmy Drago on this past season of the Contender Series. That is a fun fight. That's going to be the first fight of the year and the first fight of the Paramount era. They better deliver. Next up is Ricky Tercios versus Cameron Smotherland. Both men in desperate needs of a win. I'm actually surprised both of these guys are being given another shot. I'd honestly thought they X'd them from the UFC, so props to both those gentlemen. After that, heavyweight action as Josh Hokett is back in action. The man who's taken the UFC by storm with his personality in the heavyweight division takes on Denzel Freeman, who picked up a win against Marick Bujo. That's all we're going to say for that. It was gosh dang awful, but we need to make heavyweight great again, and Josh Hokett quite literally is trying to do that. He's an absolute big Trump head. Next up, lightweight division, Michael Johnson, Alexander Hernandez. I can't believe these two have never squared off before. Like, truly, when you think about it, Michael Johnson, staple of the game, 25-19 in the UFC, and at the ripe age of 39, he turns 40 in 5 months. He is on a 3-fight winning streak and has now had a good opportunity against Alexander Hernandez here to get a ranked shot. But on the other side of things, Hernandez, after truly being in the gutter, he was on a 2-fight losing streak, 1-4 in his last 5, 2-6 in his last 8. We can even go to 3-7, 4-8. I mean, it was not looking good for him. Has won 4 straight, hasn't lost since April of 2024, and went 2-0 in 2025 with knockouts. So I really like Hernandez's chances in this one, but keep your eyes on Michael Johnson, another great gatekeeper. Next up, flyweight action, and we got top 10 fighters as Alex Perez, number 11th ranked, will take on the number 13th ranked Charles Johnson. Shout out Charles Johnson, getting an opportunity here. I mean, the man is 5-1 in his last 6. Only loss is a close, debatable decision to Ramazan Tamarillo. And he's following up with one of the best knockouts of the year last year. The Loner Kavanaugh one is a sneaky favorite of mine. And I love this. Them giving him a shot here against Alex Perez, who I quite literally have no idea how he's in the UFC. 1-5 in his last 6. Has won 1 fight since 2020. That's right. He won a fight in 2024. Other than that, last win was June of 2020. And also, he's been finished in 4 of those 5 fights. Oh my gosh. I hope Charles Johnson does what we all hope he does and utterly gets him out of the UFC. Come on. I actually think I predicted him to have the biggest fall off. So hopefully he gets cut. That's kind of a mean thing to wish on someone. I'm sorry, Alex Perez. Next up, we got Nikita Krylov, number 13th ranked light heavyweight, welcoming none other than Modestas Bukauskas. And I love this theme of just giving guys shots on the first card of the year. Modestas Bukauskas, 4-fight winning streak since returning to the UFC in 2023. He's gone 6-1. Amazing work. Retired Paul Craig last year, beat Ion Cutelaba, and knocked out Rafael Sequeira in 2 minutes. Modestas Bukauskas, great opportunity. And he's taking on the guy in Nikita Krylov, who just had a really rough year. Knocked out in round 1, but I mean, you had to take on Dominic Reyes and Bogdan Guskov. That's never an easy task. Like, truly not an easy task. Go watch some highlights of Bogdan Guskov and Dominic Reyes. They have some nasty knockouts. I do think this is a good fight. It's a good opportunity for Modestas Bukauskas. Will he seize it? Will he not? We'll have to see. I am definitely going to predict that he is going to seize it. Same for the next middleweight matchup, as the Teba Gaudier was in the running for Rookie of the Year. I mean, dude went 3-0 in 2025, all round 1 knockouts. He's 9-1 with all finishes, and he's taking on Andre Puliev. He's 1-1 in the UFC. Picked up a knockout over Nick Klein. Nothing too impressive. They're feeding him to a Teba Gaudier. You can obviously tell. Now, after that is kind of where the card, you could consider, obviously the main card doesn't start till Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva, but I would really say it's a 7-fight main card in my opinion, since you don't have to pay at all for, a 5-fight main card. You get the whole card all year for $90, which is really good deal. I mean, 90 divided by 12, that can't be but not even $10 a month. Is it $9 a month? Oh my, wait a second. How much is 90 divided by 12, actually? I hope you all know that I filmed this live so you can hear my inner thoughts. 90 divided by 12 is $7.50 each month to watch every UFC event. Wow, sign me up. You got me sold. But as I was saying, this really kicks off with, and the fact this is on the prelims is just criminal, the number 2 and the number 6 ranked bantamweights, Umar Nurmagomedov and Deiveson Figueiredo, former men's flyweight champion, former men's bantamweight title challenger, on the prelims. Kind of a shame. I do find this super fascinating. Umar bounced back from his win bounced back from his loss against Merab Dvalishvili with a win over Mario Bautista. Looked great in it, 11 takedowns, survived a knockdown. He looked good. He's taking on Deiveson Figueiredo, who had a big bounce back win over Montel Jackson in October, and I'm really excited to see how he looks post-fight. So, Deiveson Figueiredo, Umar Nurmagomedov, the fact that it's actually on the prelims, but feels like it's a main card fight, is super exciting. After that, we actually end the prelims. A little shocked this is the prelim ender. Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas, the number 2 and number 6 at women's flyweight. Both 2 and 6 matchups to end out the prelims. And look, I really pray that Natalia Silva pulls this through. She's gone undefeated in the UFC. So far, she's been killing it, 7-0. Picked up a win over former champion Alexa Grasso, winning all 3 rounds. And if she loses to Rose Namajunas, who is very mediocre, I would be very sad. So, rooting for Natalia Silva brutally in that one. Both women only had 1 fight in 2025, and the winner of this could be getting the next title shot, especially Natalia Silva. I really hope it's Natalia Silva. If Rose Namajunas wins, does that mean she gets a title shot? Gosh, I hope not. We then open the UFC 324 main card with Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva, and they have just set Gene Silva up perfectly to bounce back from his loss to Diego Lopez. Number 10 versus number 6. No idea how Arnold Allen is still ranked at number 6. My man hasn't fought since July of 2024. That is right. You may be thinking, my goodness, that's closer to 2 years than it is to 1 year away. It's very far away since he last fought. And I bet his chin's going to be a bit rusty. Gene Silva's probably hungry to bounce back from a win. And especially that fight with Diego Lopez, he was landing some hard shots. So that's just a perfect fight to open the main card. And I think it's going to light that building on fire. How do they follow that up? None other than Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis, the number 5 and number 8 ranked heavyweights. And, this one's tricky. It really is, because I think we've come to learn there really isn't a specific type of person that Derek Lewis can beat or not beat. My man's just either loses or wins. And funny enough, Derek Lewis is 3-1 in his last 4 fights. Hasn't been finished since early 2023, and last 2 years has fought and was, but knocked each of his opponents out. And especially coming off that win over Talshon Teixeira, he is looking good. Meanwhile, Waldo Cortez Acosta has been active as ever. 5 fights, fights in 2025, going 4-1 and ended the year on a 2-fight round 1 knockout streak. Both wins in November, both winning him a $50K performance bonus. Excited for this matchup. I really should pick Waldo Cortez Acosta, but I'm never betting against the Black Beast. Then, crazy to think, at this stage in his career, Sean O'Malley is not in a main event, but he is on the 3rd fight in a main card on a pay-per-view as he takes on Song Yadong, the number 3 and number 5 ranked bantamweights. And I'll be very, very interested to see how this goes. Sean O'Malley actually hasn't won a fight since UFC 299 in March of 2024. That is right. You may be hard to believe this. Sean O'Malley hasn't won a fight in almost 2 years. He has only fought once in 2025, I was going to say, losing to Merab, and his last 2 losses have came against Merab. Meanwhile, Song Yadong is tricky. He really has. And honestly, I love Song Yadong so much, but I think I am going to go with Sean O'Malley here, hoping that he's not washed. But when I just look at who he's beaten and who he's lost to, in the last 4 years, Corey's saying, or I guess 3 years, like 2022, can we even take that into account? Like, I always kind of look at MMA as you can only kind of take the last 2 years, and as of right now, we can only really take 2024 into account. Lost to Peter Yan there, fought once against Henry Cejudo in 2025, just hasn't been that active, so gonna go with Sean O'Malley. It's a big fight, but really anything can happen. Co-main event is just so odd that, Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes is a co-main event, and I just love to look back at the fact that they had Amanda Nunes main eventing against the most random people. I mean, let's look at all of her, main events to end out her tenure. 2020, Felicia Spencer, the 250th UFC pay-per-view ever, Felicia Spencer. Then, the Julianne Peña rematch, underrated fight, might I say. Julianne Peña, Amanda Nunes 2, actually good. It's actually a good 2 fights between those two. But then Irene Aldana, it was so bad. I've only fallen asleep for 2 UFC fights. This is actually one of them. Funny enough, Amanda Nunes versus Irene Aldana. But yeah, we'll see how she does against Kayla Harrison, who came into the UFC and has just tore things up. And it's not surprising. She just came in and easy as day, went 3-0 and won the belt. But this was a super fight being talked about at the end of 2021 when Julianne Peña defeated Amanda Nunes. So it's crazy to think 5 years later, it's came into fruition and we get it, and it's the co-main event. What fight could be bigger than the biggest women's fight in UFC history? How about Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight championship? I don't know what's going on with Yuta Pura. I'm going to be honest. And when I look at the timeline, I generally don't know if he's not going to fight until the fall. Just being brutally honest, I don't think Yuta Pura is fighting until the fall. And, as far as Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett goes, Paddy Pimblett, he's been on a tear. Hasn't lost since joining the UFC. I think his win streak overall is, in the double digits. And especially his win over Michael Chandler was picture perfect. As for Gaethje, he holds a win over Rafael Fiziev. That's his lone win in the last 2.5 years. So, yeah, Gaethje needs a big win. It could be his retirement fight, I kid you not. And as for Paddy Pimblett, he's finally looking to cement himself as a legit lightweight contender. And that's your first pay-per-view of the year. I think Gaethje and Pimblett, it's going to be very interesting. It's all going to come down to, I think, the striking of Gaethje versus the takedowns of Paddy Pimblett. And the submission game of Paddy Pimblett is just ridiculous. It's on a whole nother level, and I am very excited to see it take place. Now, literally a week later, we get another pay-per-view. And we get a number of fights on it as well, including, I can only presume, road to the UFC fights, but the number of fights to open the card, the first 4 fights of UFC 325 are all debuting fighters. We have Aaron Tao taking on Namzre Batbari. All right, so these guys are coming from road to the UFC. You also have some fun names. Sulang Rangbo is taking on Lawrence Liu. Kichiaro Nakamura is taking on Sebastian Cesale, and Sang-wook Kim is taking on Dam Marfan. Yes, do I love saying their names like that? Absolutely. We also have Khan Ofli getting another shot in the UFC. He's currently 1-2, but is coming off a win at UFC Brazil. He'll be taking on Yizha. Actually, if you saw leaked messages from, I think, Yizha's manager trying to debate a fight with Mick Maynard. I don't know if that's real or not. Saw it on Twitter. Very interesting. And then I have Jonathan McLaughlin back for another UFC fight. Picked up his first win in Australia back in February of last year, so now he's back for another fight. He'll take on Oban Elliott, whose 8-fight winning streak was snapped when he ran into Sung Hyuk Ko, who grappled him to death. Who will win? I don't know, but I kind of like Jonathan McLaughlin, if I'm being honest. We also have a grappling showdown between Jacob Malkoun and Torres Finney. You'd have to pay me to watch that. It's probably going to be very boring. Then a fun one, Cam Ralston, Cody Brundage. If you know, you know. Cam Ralston has coming to the UFC, round one knockouts on the Contender Series and in the UFC at UFC Perth in September, and they're feeding Cody Brundage to him. Cody Brundage, the biggest meme fighter I might have ever seen, who is somehow in the UFC. I really don't know how. Mind you, he lost on the Contender Series, knocked out in round one, then enters the UFC and goes 2-4. But then goes, 4-4, looking pretty good. Then goes 5-7 with a drawn and no contest. Still in the UFC, Cam Ralston round one knockout is probably what everyone's betting. Light heavyweight action as Junior Tafa takes on Billy Elikana. Should be a win for Billy Elikana. He's been looking good. Only losses to Bogdan Guskov, and he beat Ibo Aslan and Kevin Christian. I like what I've seen from him. And as for Junior Tafa, he is clearly just not UFC caliber. Then the final matchup on the prelims, Quinlan Sakiad, my 2025 Rookie of the Year, takes on Rong Zhu. Rong Zhu, 2-0 in 2025. He's also kind of been on a sneaky tear, low-key. I'm not going to lie. 5-1 in his last 6 fights. I'll be curious to see how he does against Quinlan Sakian. Hard to pick against that guy after the rookie year. He had 2 amazing knockouts and a dominant grappling win. So we'll see how both these guys do, but that is going to be one of my favorite fights to watch on the prelims. With that, we get into the main card. Jimmy Crute versus Dustin Jacoby. Just 2 light heavyweights who haven't made the runs with each other. Dustin Jacoby has won his last 2 fights by round 1 knockout. Jimmy Crute has won his last 2 fights by round 1 submission. Recipe for success. After that, Tai Tuivasa and Talashan Teixeira throw it down the number 12 and number 15 heavyweights. Tai Tuivasa really takes 2 years off to come back against Talashan Teixeira, who is probably going to massacre him in round number 1. But Tai Tuivasa tragically is on a 5-fight losing streak, finished in 4 of them, hasn't won in 4 years. Very, very brutal. Hasn't fought in a year and a half. So, RIP to our boy Tai Tuivasa. I'm going to pick Talashan Teixeira, but really hope Tai pulls it out. Lightweight action up next, and this is one of the most fun stylistic matchups I think the UFC could have made. Number 9 ranked Rafael Fiziev and number 14th ranked Mauricio Ruffy. Both of them fight such unique styles. I really love it. Mauricio Ruffy's downfall is his being taken down. Other than that, his stand-up is superb. For Rafael Fiziev, it used to be getting, striking on the feet, but as of his last 2 fights, this new version of him, after, going on a little 2-fight skid in 2023, it's been all takedowns. 2 takedowns against Justin Gaethje, 4 against Ignacio Bahamondes, and I'm sure he'll mix it in again against Mauricio Ruffy. So lower your expectations, but hope for the best. Then the co-main event for the pay-per-view, UFC 326. The number 8 ranked Benoit Saint-Denis, the number 6 ranked Dan Hooker. Just an absolute war between these two. Benoit Saint-Denis, my comeback fighter of the year after going 0-2, getting knocked out in round 2 in both of his fights in 2024. He goes 3-0 at 3 finishes in 2025, including the 16-second knockout of Beneil Dariush. Are we freaking kidding ourselves here? Fantastic. As for Dan Hooker, my man has fought once since August of 2024, and it was the submission loss to Arman Tsarukyan. So a quick turnaround for Dan Hooker. My money's on Benoit Saint-Denis, if you ask me. And then our second main event pay-per-view of the year. I'm still going to call them pay-per-views, or numbered events, just so you're aware, but Alexander Volkanovski, Diego Lopez, the rematch. Crazy to think, Diego Lopez has more professional fights than Volkanovski. Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that. He's also 6 years younger than him. So Volk is getting up there. My man turns 38 years old this year, and it's going to be interesting. As for Diego Lopez, he will turn 33 this year. Both their birthdays are not until the end of the year, but I really do like Diego Lopez in the rematch. I don't know why. I just do. Should I do it? Probably not, but I don't know. I always like seeing new guys win the belt if I'm being honest. So sorry, Volk. I think I'm going to pick against you. But that is your current lineup for UFC 325. My bad. That's 324 and 325. Then the last official pay-per-view that we have is UFC 326. And, an interesting start to it already. A couple fun prelims. Luke Fernandez making his UFC debut. He had a 15-second knockout in the Contender Series as he takes on Rodolfo Bellato, who, Rodolfo Bellato is such a weird fighter. This dude has had the most random start to his UFC career. He's already had a win, a draw, a no contest, a loss. So he's hit the trifecta. If you ask me, actually not a trifecta, a quad. He's hit the rare quad. Only Cody Brundage, another fighter who has done it all. So my money's on Luke Fernandez, but we'll see how he does. You never know how these Contender Series guys go, because sometimes they face really significant less talent on the Contender Series. They get to the UFC and these guys are like, oh my gosh, these guys are legit. Sumadarji's back in action after going 2-0 in 2025. He's taking on Jesus Aguilar, who went 1-1 in 2025. Not too shabby. Cody Garbrandt is back for the first time since June. He's unfortunately on a 2-fight losing streak, but he'll be taking on Zhao Long, who, hasn't done much if you ask me. He's 1-2 in the UFC. Last win was November of 2024, and he lost his one decision fight in 2025. So Cody Garbrandt trying to turn back the clock in the big 2-6. Hey, I'll be rooting for you. Main card has 4 fights currently lined up. First up, middleweight as Paulo Costa, number 13th ranked fighter, takes on the unranked Bruno Ferreira. I love it. It's going to be fun, only if it happens. Paulo Costa returned after a hiatus to take on Roman Kopilov this past year, and he picked up a win. That's all we'll say for that. As for Bruno Ferreira, pretty decent year. Went 3-0 in 2025. 2 arm bars and a win over Marvin Vettori. You can't beat that. My money's on Bruno Ferreira, and I honestly think it's best for business if he defeats Paulo Costa. Next up, middleweight division again, as the number 8 ranked Rainer De Ritter goes down with the number 7th ranked Caio Borralho. Both guys kind of ended the year on a sour note. Caio Borralho only had 1 fight in 2025, a decision loss to Nazim Imavov. And as for Rainer De Ritter, after going 3-0, he ends it with a tough, gassing out, giving up defeat against Brendan Allen. So no idea what to expect in that one. Both guys can strike. Both guys can grapple. I think it all comes down to the cardio, which they clearly might not have as much of as we thought. As of right now, the co-main event is going to be Renato Moicano versus Brian Ortega. The number 10 ranked, number 10 ranked lightweight, Renato Moicano, who hasn't won since September of 2024, welcomes Brian Ortega to the lightweight division, who also hasn't won since 2024. Brian Ortega is actually, fun fact, 2-5 since 2018. Yikes. He's actually 1-4 since 2020. And yeah, 2-fight losing streak as of late. Hasn't looked good. I think Moicano gets the better of him. But hey, if Brian Ortega wants to turn it back, be my guest. And then the final pay-per-view main event we have announced to end this video, Max Blessed Holloway and Charles the Bronx Oliveira. It just doesn't get bigger than that. It really is one of the biggest fights to put on in the UFC right now. Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira. It's phenomenal. It really is fantastic. Max is coming off that big win over Dustin Poirier. Charles Oliveira coming off that big win over Mateusz Gamrot. So, fun stuff. I'm excited for it. We are in for a big year. Now, what other pay-per-views are we going to get? Well, I presume that Ilia Topuria will face the winner of Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. I presume we'll get a Petr Yan title defense, along with a Joshua Van title defense later in the year. Khamzat Chimaev and Alex Pereira will definitely be in main events of some kind. I'm sure the heavyweight belt will be on the line, and I kid you guys not, something tells me we may see Conor McGregor fight this year. I don't know against who. Maybe it's finally Michael Chandler, who finesses yet another high-profile fight, but as of now, I sneakily suspect he's going to get back in the UFC. But yeah, that's our current lineup for the year. I'm so excited. Next week, we get to do divisional predictions. We get to do our, we get to do our conference predictions. And we finally get to do our preview predictions. So before we know it, we're going to be previewing UFC 324. I'm so excited for it. And I know all these fights are going to come up quick and be gone just like that. But for now, I'm going to appreciate them, bask in them and just buzz with anticipation for all of these fights. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have on today's episode. I know, kind of a weird one. Kind of not too run of the mill, just kind of your average episode, but we'll have fun stuff coming up. I may or may not have ordered a camera and plan to start recording myself. That's right. We're going to flip the room around and maybe get a little studio going. We'll have to see. But ladies and gentlemen, go make it a great rest of your week. I know I had a rough Monday, so this episode will be available for you to listen to Tuesday morning. Go kick some butt. And as of right now, go Texans. I think they're only up by 1 point, though. Ladies and gentlemen, catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.